It's Sean Wang's acclaimed coming-of-age tale, big hit at Sundance this year, now finally in theaters, Didi.
Yes, this is a movie to take your kids to, especially if they're entering high school like mine is. I'm so glad I saw this with my son. We had a great talk about it afterwards.
Max 啊，保持4.0的 GPA。哦 ，Chris 拍 video。
This takes place in the month before high school for a kid named Chris, who actually goes by a lot of different names. Didi means younger brother in Chinese, and so this is what his Taiwanese mom calls him, and it's an affectionate term, but he doesn't want to be a little brother anymore. You know, he wants to be a big kid, and so much of this film is about how he figures out what version of himself he wants to project to the world. And a lot of that has to do with the names that he wants people to refer to him as. So it's 2008. It's like all kinds of AOL chat rooms and MySpace, and that's part of how he projects his identity out into the world. He goes by Wang Wang. Izaac Wang is the young man who plays him. He goes by Wang Wang at some point,
Chris.
and Chris, a different name, and just different people, different names, and different online persona. And so he's trying to figure out who he wants to hang out with and who he wants to be. And because he is an awkward 13-year-old, it goes spectacularly wrong all the time. And there is so much emotional truth and so much detail in this film that is cringe-inducing and hilarious and heartbreaking and startling. I found it hilarious and moving in ways big and small, in the emotions of it, and then in the specific details of the filmmaking. This is not exactly autobiographical for Sean Wang, but it has a lot to do with his own upbringing. He was 13 in 2008. Growing up in Fremont, California, the grandma Nai that you see living with them is his grandma.
Oh, wow.
Who was the subject of the Academy Award nominated short that he made. Yes. He made a short about both of his grandmas. This is one of them who lives with them. And she's a hoot and brings a lot of authenticity to it. Joan Chen, absolutely lovely as his mom. Just so subtle, does so much with just a glance or just a slightest shift in her facial expression, gets an absolutely heartbreaking monologue, a kind of monologue you've seen in coming of age movies, but this feels so specific. And this just does what I think a lot of great coming of age films do. Like, it's really rooted in a very specific culture, but there's such, relatability to it and universality to it because we've all been there at some point. So I really loved it.
Yeah, me too. It definitely, I think, it's so much about, like you said, the specifics of it, whether it's the child of immigrants narrative, just the where technology was at that moment. I constantly give thanks and a sigh of relief that I didn't have my first AOL account until I was 30. I cannot imagine what being a teenager online must have been like. And yeah, this gets very into the weeds of like, what does it mean when somebody you think is your best friend doesn't have you listed in their MySpace top 8, So it is very specific about that particular moment. But yeah, there is such a universality of just those moments where you're just cringing inside because you remember stuff you did that was comparable, like, kids at that age, coming of age movies can be very gentle and affectionate, and this one is in a lot of ways, but it doesn't let the character or the audience off the hook of just reminding you like how completely sort of selfish and impulsive and short-sighted your behavior can be at that age. And the way he treats his mom, you're just like, oh god, if your mom is still alive, you'll see this movie and you'll want to take her out for a nice brunch or something. Joan Chen is great. Like, I would love to see some awards traction for this performance. She's a legend. She's been around for quite some time and done amazing work on both sides of the camera. But yeah, she is given such a meaty role that she just makes the most of it here. The relationship between Didi and his older sister, and the ups and downs of all of that, the way that he interacts with his friends, the way he tries to sort of like ingratiate himself with older kids, and all the things that he does are very recognizable wherever or whenever you grew up. And I think it really nails the details in a way that creates the kind of empathy that also makes you squirm a little. So yeah, he's totally hitting it here.
He's such a jerk, and the movie does not let him off the hook.
No, never.
There are repercussions for his jerkiness.
Yeah.
And we know as adults watching it that it comes from, the fear of entering high school and the state of flux he's in and the hormones. And he's still got braces at the beginning of this movie. He's still a kid at the beginning of this movie.
Yeah.
And I guess he's matured somewhat by the end of it, but all those conflicting feelings are still in there. There's still confusion. This doesn't tie things up in a way that is tidy, I like that about it.
Yeah, he's learned a thing or two by the end of the movie, but he's got a lot more to learn.
Yeah, for sure. And I think if you liked 8th grade,
yeah, totally,
you'll like this a lot too. I think it explores a lot of the same territory as far as just how uncomfortable you feel in your own skin. And these truly all feel like real kids. They're not 25-year-olds playing high school students. These feel like real kids doing stupid things.
And I think the added pressure of these kids who are growing up with the internet, not only are they trying to figure out who they are, they also have to figure out, what am I projecting to the world in this public sphere,
Yeah, and how he uses the internet, he thinks he's using it as a tool, to fake it in ways that sometimes catch up with him.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a really squirm-inducing scene with a young woman that he likes, and she's super cute, and maybe, she likes him back, and nothing goes in a romantic, happy, sunny way.
No, it goes in the way of a 13 or 14-year-old boy being incredibly dense and, awkward. Yeah.
Yeah. I took Nick with me. Nick starts high school tomorrow.
Woo.
And I took him with me, and I'm so glad I did. He wanted to see it anyway. He'd seen the trailer for it. And so we went together to a matinee in our neighborhood, and it was pretty packed, for 11:30 on a Saturday for a film that's been out for a little bit. And we had such a good talk afterward about how this makes high school seem real and tangible and imminent in ways that he had not anticipated, wow. and I think that was helpful. And also scary because he was like, "Oh shit, I'm starting high school."
And I think also it's really valuable because the movie sort of reminds you that other people are going through their own stuff, and very often at that age you think, "Oh God, everyone's looking at me, everyone's judging me." It's no, everyone is obsessed with their own crap and their own worried about how they're projecting themselves out. And I think also, maybe be a little empathetic to the person who seems a little awkward or like they're not getting it right. Or, if your friend says or does something that's really, that you find terrible, maybe let's everybody take a breath for a second. You're all trying to figure out where you are and who you are and all that stuff at this point. And, cut each other some slack, cut yourself some slack,
And that's true for his mom as well. There's more going on with his mom than we see from most parents in coming of age movies like this. Usually you don't see the parents at all.
Yeah.
And she gets this whole inner life of yearnings and regrets. And the artwork the artwork that you see in this movie is from the filmmaker's actual mom.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of nice personal touches in here like that. So what's your number on Didi then?
I'm an 8.9. I like this very much.
I'll say a 9. Yeah, this is great. So Didi's out there in theaters now. It's expanding. So go definitely check it out wherever it's playing near you.